the biggest thing would also be with the zip code would be does that area qualify for you is on the USDA map? Anybody can just literally go to USDA loan map, and then it pops up and it tells you if that zip code is a USDA loan map or is a USDA area. I have a client today that was in the USDA loan. I don't do those all that often, but the cool part about a USDA loan is it's just like a VA. It's 100%. They're called 100% financing loans, which means that down payment is covered. So the only part that you have to come to the table with as cash would be obviously the closing costs, and then of course if your wonderful, fantastic agent, gets the closing costs covered by the seller, then I mean, the lowest amount I've ever had a person close on is at the table they got a check for $600 back. So technically it cost them nothing to get it home. Doesn't happen. So the bigger ones are FHA and conventional. Kind of mentioned some of the major differences. The big difference is a magical word called mortgage insurance. So mortgage insurance is exactly what it sounds like. Remember, I've always talked about that it's like your risk. It's your risk factor. That's what a lender looks at. So with mortgage insurance, it's as simple as the FHA has a mortgage insurance premium that's charged up front. It's part of your loan amount. So if you have a lower credit score, the FHA, you have this like mortgage insurance amount that gets charged based off the sales price. So it's 1.75% of the sales price. That is a fee that gets added on to your loan amount. And then also there's mortgage insurance that you have every month that's part of your monthly payment. Okay? So with a conventional loan, if you put less than 20% down, you will have mortgage insurance, but during the life of the loan, it will go away eventually. With an FHA loan, the mortgage insurance is always there. What does that really mean in actual terms? It means that with an FHA loan, you will get less house for the money than a conventional loan. As simple as that. Your $200,000 home will cost you more over the life of the loan for an FHA loan than it will for a conventional. And that's not 100% fact, but that is for the most part what it kind of boils down to. Is you can get more home if you have a higher credit score. You can qualify for a conventional loan as opposed to if we have to go FHA. FHA is specifically meant for people who have higher credit scores that are usually first-time home buyers. It's a great program. Our first home is on an FHA program. Okay? But in general, conventional is better because the rates are usually better. But more importantly, you have to put less money down because remember, conventional is 3% minimum versus FHA, which is 3.5%. All right. Loan programs: 100% financing, down payment assistance, HELOC. I don't do HELOC, so don't worry about that right now. HELOC is a home equity line. We won't worry about that right now. So down payment assistance, 100% financing. There are FHA 100% financing loans. There are conventional 100% financing loans. When you do a 100% loan with either a conventional or FHA, there's two loans. The first one is the base loan. Okay, so for example, with an FHA, because the minimum is 3.5% down, so your first loan will be 96.5%. The second one is 3.5%. The loan program, the FHA program that I like the most, has only been available for about a year, and it's actually cool. So you have the 96.5% loan that we give you. The second loan, the 3.5% of the down payment, gets covered. It's a second loan, but that second loan just sits there. It just sits there and doesn't do anything. No interest payments on it, no principal payments on it. It just sits there. And if you pay the first loan on time for 3 years, that second loan that just sits there the whole time, it gets forgiven by the U.S. government. It's really cool. And that's a great program. Now, with all down payment assistance programs, like anything else in the world, nothing is free. There's always a catch to everything. So the down payment assistance programs, they are specifically meant for people, whether they're like higher credit score people, conventional, low score credit people, FHA. The caveat is the interest rate is higher. So you usually have, right now, the average interest rates between FHA and conventional, we're looking like a 3.75 and a 4, okay, to be conservative. And so for an FHA DPA program or the conventional DPA program, they're going to be about like a 5.25. So is a 5.25 much higher? Absolutely. But keep in mind that the reason why Sonny and Joe use us and use people that they trust is you can do everything online, but a lot of people, they need help navigating through this process. What's best for me and my life? What's best for our family? What's best for me as an individual buyer? A lot of these loan programs, people don't know they exist. And really, keep in mind, there are three parts to every mortgage deal. There is the interest rate, there is the mortgage payment, and then there is the cash to close the deal. And so, what of those three things are important to you as a family? What is the most important thing? Of course, everybody wants the lowest interest rate, the lowest cash to close, and the lowest mortgage payment. I mean, that's a given. But of those three factors, there's always something that is more important to you than anything else. we can probably afford a little bit more of a monthly mortgage payment, Bart, but like we just don't have that much cash right now. Like we're cool, honestly. Like we're good with like $1,200 payment. That's not a big deal. Like that's fine. But like we just can't really afford that. We just don't have that much cash put aside. Okay. Well, can you afford a $1,300 mortgage payment? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so we can raise the interest rate, put you in a down payment assistance program, lower your cash to close greatly by having the down payment covered, and then all of a sudden your $10,000 in cash to close went down to $4,000 cash to close. Wow, that sounds great. And the $1,200 to $1,300 a month doesn't necessarily matter at this point in time because both you and your spouse feel very comfortable with that $100 increase. But man, the fact that you just saved $8,000 to get into a home, that works. Cool. And that's where these conversations come into play. Which loan program is best for you as a family? Which one makes the most sense to do what you want to do? And that's where these relationships come into play, is that we can help guide you to those decisions. That's, sometimes people, they don't even realize that some of these options are out there. I can't tell you how many times we talk to people and they don't think they can get a gift. That some loan programs allow mom and dad to give a gift. To help them out. And that's a lot of the way I get gifts all the time, actually. So. All right. And then most important to you, cash closing with the payment interest rate. We're talking about that. Cool.
This is your
excellent
one, the breakdown of the payment.
And mortgage payment is broken down too. So it's PITI is a word you heard used often with mortgage payments. So principal obviously is the sales price of the home. Okay. So whatever that mortgage, your mortgage is. So that's the LT. There's a lot of acronyms in the mortgage world. So loan to value ratio. So your loan to value is, here's your sales price. We're going to use a round number. Let's say $100,000. So you have a $100,000 sales price home, and you want to put 3% down. So your loan to value ratio would be a 97. Does that make sense? You want to put 20% down on home. Your loan to value ratio is 80%. So then the 80% is your loan, because the other 20% is your down payment. So whatever your loan amount is, so that's what your principal is based off of. Okay, and then you have the interest rate, which is working the interest. So PI, so principal, interest, taxes. Taxes are property taxes. Property taxes are pretty easy to pull. Some people do estimates. We actually go straight to the county and pull the taxes. That way, we know exactly what those taxes are going to be. Literally, you can just go on the county and just county tax assessor websites, pull the taxes, divide by 12, and that's what the tax payment's going to be. Now, taxes may change from year to year because of property value areas, property value assessments by the county. Specifically, let's say you bought a home, and let's say an elderly couple own the home that you're purchasing. They may have tax exemptions, and so those tax exemptions would apply to you within the first year, but then but if you didn't apply for some of those same exemptions, your tax would then go up the next year that you own the home. And we walk through all this stuff. Hey, by the way, your taxes are great, your monthly payment's going to be awesome, but if you don't have some exemptions that next year, then in that next year, it's going to jump up a little bit. And we always explain that. So people we call payment shock, just so you know about this. And then the next thing is insurance. So if you have mortgage insurance, and there's like a second I, there's PI, TI, but it's homeowner's insurance. That's where everyone's going to come in. Every home has to have insurance. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that. A mortgage payment covers your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. It's all into one. And then if you have an FHA loan, or if you have a conventional loan that requires mortgage insurance, then it's all tucked into that as well too. So it's 5 things. So it's all paid at once. You don't pay separate people. It's all like your payment is one thing. So, and then what affects the interest rate and what affects mortgage insurance is these two right here: your debt to income ratio and your credit score. They have a massive effect, and also your down payment size. These 3 factors here: how much money you're putting down, what your credit score is, and what your debt to income ratio is. They affect your mortgage insurance rate. They affect your interest rate. It really has a great effect. People have often asked me if there's one thing that is more important than anything else in the mortgage, like when you're going to buy a home, what is it? I have a ton of money. Cool. Your credit score. It's your credit score and your debts. It really is. It really offsets everything. Because I can't tell you how many people say, I have a boatload of money, but you got bad credit. I have a boatload of money, but I have a ton of debts. Well, take that boatload of money, pay off your debts. But the reason why credit score is so important is because there are some things with a credit score that money can't solve. Money can't make let's say you all of a sudden made a ton of money for whatever reason, or somebody gave you a pile of cash. I can't make your 3 years of late payments go away that fast. It just can't. It just doesn't happen. Credit scores need time for some of those things to float on. So pay your bills on time. Pay your bills on time. Make sure you're staying on top of collections. Your credit score is so vital to this process more than anything else.
Okay. So now you know why we work with Bart. He's amazing. Like, he will explain everything to you in great detail in a very short period of time. But he's awesome. That's why we
Lots of caffeine helps.
yeah, that's why we choose to work with him. So now that you are pre-approved and like Bart has gone through everything for you, the next part of the process is working with your agent. So the first thing you do after that, or sometimes before you work with your lender, is choosing a real estate professional that you trust. That is our goal, for you to trust us. We make sure that we take on any problems that might come up, because they always do. So our goal is that you don't feel those bumps, because there will always be bumps, but we try and make them as minimal as possible. You want someone to guide you through. Truly, you know, some transactions are really easy to get through, but where the rubber hits the road is when you have issues. That's what we're there for. We consider ourselves project managers as far as like managing that transaction all the way through. You know, we help you find the house, we work with the lender, we work with insurance, we work with closing attorneys. We get you to that closing table and put those keys in your hands. And then actually we stay in contact afterwards too to make sure that you're happy. Okay, so touching a little bit on what Bart had talked about, earnest money, down payment, and closing costs. So a lot of times people are unsure. You know, Bart had mentioned what's the minimum that you could actually come to the table with, money in your pocket. So we're going to discuss it really briefly. So earnest money is what you put down when you make an offer. So on you know, the house that you're offering sales price, generally it's 1% to 2% that you would put down of earnest money at the time you make the offer. So you're going to have that you have to have set aside. The other part is your down payment, which of course Bart talked about. So depending upon what that program is, just keep in mind that your earnest money is actually goes towards your down payment. So if you're putting 5% down and you put 2% down of earnest money, that goes towards that. So you don't have to have that other 3%. It's not like I have to have 5% and 2%, so I have all this money I'm putting out. So there's that. A lot of people get confused about that and think they need way much more money than they actually need. Closing costs. We always estimate them to be roughly 3% when there is a lender involved of the purchase price of the home. So that is another part of the money that you have to be looking at. Now, if, depending upon your situation, you know, it's possible sometimes to get the seller to contribute some or even all of your closing costs, again, based on the estimated 3%. So that's when Bart was mentioning that you may not need as much money as you think to even, you know, come to the closing table. So it's important to know in the beginning where you need to be, so you don't have any surprises once you get into it.
I think that's where the relationship part really comes in. I think that, you know, one of the things, so like, I'm going to give you an example. So today is a Saturday, and I have probably 8 different people that are active buyers, and their agents, that they can text me at any given time of the day, which we've done today, but about pulling addresses. So when I have an address in, then we can check the taxes. We look at the numbers of the down payment of that specific client, what the sales price is, and then we pull numbers and we say, hey, this is what your monthly payment would look like on this property. When you're looking to close, because your close date has effective closing costs, but like that's where the relationship building really comes into play, is that we can say, you can be within less than 24 hours, we can bounce a couple addresses back and forth, and then all of a sudden, you have real, tangible estimate numbers that are pretty close, so you know what you're getting yourselves into. And I think that's really where the relationship more than anything else comes is, like, we've all bought houses, and so we're not, like, it's a really stressful process. You're putting, you know, money that you and your spouse and your partner have worked your entire lives for. It's a big decision. We really don't try not to take that for granted. And so for us, how do we calm you down? How do we get you to trust us, A? And then how do we get you to feel comfortable saying, you know what, okay, woo, let's jump off the cliff. And to do that, you need information. If somebody were to tell you, hey, you know what, there's no sharks in that water. It's clear, it's 25 feet deep, it's beautiful, there's no rocks. You go, great, let's do it.
I'm sitting here with a life preserver.
Yeah, life preserver, and then when you jump, there's somebody with a margarita, so after you jump and you belly flop, you have a margarita and you're good. Cool, you're ready to go. Meaning, the more information that you have about what you're getting yourself into, then you feel more comfortable. And that's what we
Takes
want to
away
do.
the scariness.
Absolutely. It is straight up, it is a scary process. I remember when I signed the papers the first time, well, my wife made basically signed the papers the first time, I just made sure the money was there. But it is a scary process. And so for us, by having this relationship, we can give you information that helps that takes the curtains back. And says, hey, boom, this is numbers. This is real. This is what this is going to be
And
like.
you can do this.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, cool, right? I mean, there's always been those decisions in life, and until you actually have real numbers, you're scared, and then now you see this is what's actually going to happen. Okay, cool, that makes sense, and that's what we want to do is give you real numbers, and that's what this relationship can do. So.
Yep, absolutely. So the next piece of it, when you're working with an agent, you are not again spending hours on Zillow, going to tons of open houses. We're there to. We don't just open doors and show you the pretty house and oh look at this and oh look at the paint and oh look at floors and all of that. I mean there's a lot more to it when we get to it. We're looking in the areas where you say you want to live. Whether it's school district, whether it's close to work, whatever it is, we're there to narrow down that search. And to when for me personally, I know when we're looking at a house with clients, clients walk in, they're excited. They see they love the light fixture, or this master bedroom is huge. My job is to go in and actually look in at that's a great master bedroom, but did you notice there's a huge stain up here where there may be a leak from the roof or something going on with that, or walking around outside, might notice cracks in the foundation or drainage issues or that kind of thing. We're your eyes to kind of see that for you, what you might not be seeing while you are falling in love. We're kind of showing you was it not the catfish thing? The pretty pictures are online, so then you actually see what they look like when you get there. That's what we see ourselves.
Instagram is a real thing with house pictures. They can be.
Yes, it's true. So then, when you found the home you want. So this is making the offer. This tips to success. This is again where we also are showing you how we help you. So determine your price. So your lender pre-approval, full approval, whatever you are in the process. We already know that by the time we get there. And the other reason you want that pre-approval is not just so you know what you can afford, but also so you understand that you're not looking at homes that maybe are above where you can be. Like you think, oh, I know I can afford a $400,000 house. And you look at the $400,000 house, and then you find out you can only afford the $250,000 house. And there's a big difference there. So that's where that comes into. And then submitting the offer. We will discuss the comps in the neighborhood. We'll look at what's a fair sales price, to offer for that home. And then we're also talking about how we structure that offer. That is where we come into play with what's important to you, and when you're talking about your not necessarily down payment, because by that point it should be decided, but when it comes to closing costs, do we want to ask for closing costs? What's important to you? We pay attention to what the market looks like. We help set that up and negotiate that to put your best offer forward to get the house that you want. And it's what's tailored to what works for you. And then, of course, acting fast. Time is of the essence. Other reason to have that pre-approval before you even start looking. You can't even basically make an offer on a home unless you have a pre-approval, because they won't take your offer seriously. So you got to strike while the iron's hot. And that's also the reason we're out there too, is to tell you what the market looks like. Even micro, sections of where you're looking. It depends. Some markets are like white hot, and you have to basically really jump on it. And other ones you can kind of take your time, and that again comes into negotiation and how you're going to structure that deal.
Yeah. And that's really the teamwork comes into play. I mean, there's 250 to 200,000 is probably one of the hottest price markets in the city everywhere. If it exists in some areas, where it doesn't in some. But yeah, exactly. But it's so that specific price point. I know somebody's at that price point. I highly encourage them to get all the documents to us beforehand, because we can close in 2 weeks. We can close in, if it has a big sign on the backside, we can close in 8 days if we need to, which most lenders can't do. And by being able to close fast, in the end,
as a seller, what do you want more than anything else? Obviously, you want a buyer who's going to buy your home and treat it well. But in the end, you want to get paid, and you want the money. So whoever get the money to you the fastest is going to win the deal when there's 10 people, and that's where speed comes into play. Is that if a listing agent calls me and says, "Hey, Sonny, give me your number. We have these clients that would like to purchase this home. We have 10 other people that want to do it. Tell me about why it happens all the time. Tell me why we should accept the offer." Well, first of all, these agents are awesome, and this is why. But second of all, these people are great. They have the money. They had employment. We checked everything out. I can close this home in 10 days. You can do what? Close this home in 10 days. Let's go. Boom, your offer's accepted.
Yeah,
Speed.
sometimes
I would say at least 50% of all the deals over the past 6 months have been because of speed. So that's why it's so important.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about some of this, 5 reasons to work with a professional versus working on your own. Everybody thinks that, again, we just open doors and negotiate a deal. To be honest with you, the meat of all of this is a contract. If your contract is not right, it will hurt you in the end. And unfortunately for sale by owners, they don't always pay attention to that, and it hurts them in the end too. But on the buy side, when you are a buyer, that is the whole point. We want to make sure that you are protected in the end, and we can add special stipulations and structure it so it is beneficial to you. And again, that contract, getting it to the closing table, and making sure that we hit all your deadlines and all that too. So obviously our experience and negotiating for you, and then the pricing as far as figuring out what is a fair price to offer for a house. And then the market conditions, which we also discussed. I don't know if anybody knows Dave Ramsey, most people do, but basically, we like this because they're basically, it makes you understand why working with a good agent can help you. We, again, working with our lender, we're going to help you find that home that fits in your budget. So this is really important for us as far as knowing the market. This is when you talk about what is a seller's market, what is a buyer's market? What does that look like? Right now, we're actually in a seller's market. There's usually, in most markets, 3 months or less of inventory. And the trend is actually going further that direction. There's a lot of buyers out right now. Interest rates have been great, and the trend is only going to go that way. And the reason we point this out is that if you're considering it, we're going to show you a little bit more data on this, but if you're considering it, it's not going to get better, it's going to get harder to find a house, especially in certain price points. So this is the appreciation where it's expected to be as it's coming up, 2020 through 2022, nothing less than 2%. And that again is housing, the prices going up year after year, and sitting and waiting is not to your benefit. Again, the inventory declining, seller's market again, because it is such a rush right now, everybody's out looking. In fact, January, February has been more like, usually you hear about the spring market, starts in like April, May. It started in January this year.
It never ended.
And we knew this, yes, we knew this. So this is existing home sales, year-over-year increase. The South is actually the best market in the country, which again, that kind of goes back to the whole, competition and times of the essence and working with an agent that you trust. And here's more specific. The United States is 5.4% for appreciation rate. Georgia is at 4.8%. So when we were talking before about how much money that you gained in equity when you buy within that 5 years, it was a little over $37,000. It's actually lower than what this shows it to be. So that's how much you're gaining in equity. Okay. So this is our cute little things to avoid 10 commandments of home loans, which is actually on the back of the flyer that you'll notice. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's also really serious. From the time you actually start the process, but especially once you're under contract, these are the things you do not want to do, because this is what protects you as far as, getting your earnest money back if you decide to terminate a contract, or when your financing contingency comes up. And that's kind of getting into the weeds as far as like too much of information. I know this is a lot that you're getting today.
Our job is to protect you.
Yes.
If you do these things, you make that job harder.
Don't hurt yourself. So this is 1 through 5. 6 through 10. So basically we're saying don't open a credit card, don't move money, don't co-sign a loan, don't,
We are your home buying Moses.
don't quit your job.
Okay? Let us guide you across the river safely. Okay? No, but some jokes, I mean, if people, these are kind of funny, and most people read these like, oh yeah, duh. But we would put these down if they weren't coming from live examples of how they weren't paying attention to. It's a really important thing sometimes people don't realize. It's once you get under contract, all your finances are heavily scrutinized, and doing anything to jerk them one way or the other can throw off debt, can throw off credit scores. Really can. There are so many different checks that our underwriting departments do with the federal government that literally look at everything that you do. And so it's just don't do these. Help us help you.
Basically don't do anything when you're in a contract unless you check with your loan officer. That's what we say. Don't do anything.
You don't have a car, take a bus for a month. Only a credit card.
Okay, so I know we're getting kind of long here, but we just want to kind of, a couple more things.